Welcome back everybody to Sunsaw Gaming. Alright, so today we have the long waited for Is-3 review. Now this was requested a couple of weeks back now, and I do apologise for the long wait on this video, but we have two videos for you today involving the Is-3. The first one will be was sent in, I should say, by Xbull, and the second one is provided by myself. Now, because of the lack of people driving the Is-3 and able to send me in replays, I did have to grind out hard and get to the tank myself and actually play and learn the tank. So here it is, without further ado, the Is-3 review. Now, we are on Castilla for this match, and Xbull, he is driving the Is-3, he is top tier, and he's going to do something very unconventional. Now, with the Is-3, normally, you're a heavy, you'll go the heavy route, you'll do heavy things, as a heavy should. Now, I do want to state here, Xbull is just an average player like myself, like the rest of us, and I came across his replay on a Discord server and thought that it was worthy of coming into this Is-3 review, just because of what he does with the tank. And you will see it. I mean, it's a little bit slow to get into the action, just because, I mean, he is a heavy tank going the medium route, and he's just going to give this AMX 1390 a shove, like, hey, get your AFK butt into the game. Of course, the AMX does not respond because he's AFK. So, leaving him behind and driving on, Xbull is going to go around to the A-Cat side. Now, as you can see there on the minimap, there are already a couple of heavies out C. There is a medium, or the LTTB I should say, the light tank up top there on A side, and I mean he's got teammates with him. A couple of them have just dunked out into the water below B there, but his AMX has woken up and is driving along behind him. So that is always something to be to take note of, is the positioning of your tanks. Now you can see this T71, he is also going around to A still. So he hasn't even backed off, which means Xbull is up here in his Is-3 with the support of two other tanks, and it's going to be very, very fast paced from here on. Now you can see this T23 Eagle, I mean he's trying to put shots into the AMX behind Xbull here, and Xbull is going to do the right thing. He's going to push forward. I mean, he can't afford to play it safe. He does try to snap shot there through the planter box, unfortunately does not hit his target, but I mean his T71 down there has all the attention of the enemy team, and he's about to get wrecked and rushed by these three tanks. So Xbull notices this and he starts pushing himself down. He gets a very unlucky shot there, missing the Eagle, but goes for the ram, only just manages to clip him. Now if he had managed to hit that SP1C with the weight of this tank, he would have taken him out without having to fire a shot at all. Just unfortunately, the SP1C managed to get out the way, and this sort of thing right here with the Is-3 is what you want to be doing, especially up against mediums. If you can face hug mediums in this tank and keep them real close, they won't be able to shoot that lower glacial plate. That is a very weak spot of the pike nose on the Is-3. But I mean, he charged down there, he got right in the mix, and because he done that, his teammate that was with him, the AMX, was able to pick up some kills there. The T71 done a fair bit of damage as well, and I mean, just he utilised his mediums. He pushed with his team, he worked together with them, and that's what you need to do in the Is-3. This tank cannot fight much by itself. It's no longer the meta. The Is-3, I mean, when you've got tanks like the Object 252U, and just those OP sort of tanks that are out there now, the Is-3 does not have that troll bouncy armor. And right now, you can see Xbull. This is why I wanted to show this video. Now, the Borsig backed off. Xbull took that time to turn around and reverse side scrape off this building, knowing that this guy would come back up and try to take a shot. Doesn't manage to clear him, but he does get that bounce from the reverse side scrape. Now, Xbull was not sitting correctly with that reverse side scrape. If that Borsig had have taken the time to aim, he could have put a shell into the back of his tank because it was sticking out just slightly. But Xbull notices that, he readjusts his side scraping angle there, pulls himself in, gets his arse end hidden, notices that his teammate is now ready to push forward. But his teammate is a one-shot, so Xbull seeing what's happening, uses his brain, gets himself ready for a push onto this Borsig just to help his teammate clear him out, because then they can go around and deal with the last 2 heavies on the enemy team. And I mean, I wouldn't normally suggest flanking with the IS-3, but in this case, under these circumstances, it worked out really, really well for Export. He's got 1700 block damage now, which you're going to get from mediums and lights. You will get that block damage from them. Just don't expect to get too many bounces from enemy heavies, unless of course they are complete numpties or you're using your armor profile correctly. Now this tank does not pay off for mistakes. If you make mistakes in this thing, you're going to get punished for it, especially if you're in the thick of it like you should be in an IS-3. Now the turret on this thing, super bouncy. That pike nose, well, it's a pike nose. Face it directly at the enemy tanks. Don't try to angle and side scrape like you would in, say, a KV-4. The pike nose doesn't allow for that. You just end up giving the enemy a flat surface to put shells through. Now, that IS-5 just absolutely fluffed his shot, and you can see the pike nose there. On the IS-5, it's acting very similar to what the IS-3's pike nose will. These 2 tanks are very similar. The IS-5 doesn't have as much gun depression, but the armor profile acts and works the same, except for the back of the tank there, which is on the IS-5 angled more like the IS-6. But that's the only difference in the armor profile. And I mean, you can see here, if you angle a pike nose any which way other than face on, you're going to give your enemy a weak spot, just like that IS-5 did. And the same thing happens in the IS-3. So keep that in mind when you're playing it. Always try to keep your pike nose facing directly at the enemy tank. Now, thank you for sending this one to me, Expo, and allowing me to use it. There were some great things in this video that I think that needed to be shown just for the IS-3 and how to use it to do with the pike nose and the reverse side scraping there. And like I say, guys, Expo, he's just an average player like the rest of us. He gets 2,530 damage there, 2 kills, brings back a nice 16,000 credits. And, I mean, even though he only went the medium route, he managed to help his team win big time. And with that, we're going to jump into the second match in the IS-3 here, which features myself. Now, as opposed to the last match we just watched, this one here, I am going to be playing this front line on the heavy side as a heavy should. So you've seen what this thing can do against lights and mediums, and how the pike nose tank works. In this one here, you're going to see a bit more of the aggressive side of it without being overly aggressive. Now, I use the terrain to get that hull down, to hide that lower plate of the pike nose, and just small things like that you'll see in this match. Now, a lot of this work here was just purely on the enemy team not paying attention and being dummies about things, basically. But I mean, we're going to pull up here. We're going to take cap A, because why not? It's what we should do. Our teammate gets a nice shot there into the side of the Tiger, which absolutely hurts him big time. And we're just going to push down into this dip. Now, normally I wouldn't push down here. The IS-3 does not have the greatest of gun depressions. I mean, as a Russian heavy, you can't expect that gun depression. But I am going to use the side just to get that extra gun depression, just where that dirt makes my tank tip. Now, I do want to be careful pushing up here. They do have a lot of tanks. It is very early in the game, and as you can see, I just got smacked by a tank destroyer there. Now, he couldn't hit me when I was facing him front on because my turret is too strong, but as soon as I turned to look at this IS, he was able to put a shell through the weak side of my turret. Now, right here, this tiny little mound that is in front of me is what I'm going to use in a moment just to keep myself hulled down. And, I mean, you're going to see it. I'm going to push out. I'm going to try and get some shots. There are a lot of tanks behind this wall. Only one of the enemy team is not accounted for at this point, and we don't know exactly where he is. But we're going to put a nice shot into that guy. And, oh, what do you know, there is the last of the enemy team, still sitting in spawn, wiggling his tank, not actually moving. So we're just going to load up an APCR round because we don't want to bounce off the front of this Tiger II. And he puts one through us, but we back off with this TD, and now he can no longer hurt us because we are held down behind this little ridge. He shoots at something else, which is fair enough, which is what he should have done. We get a nice shot into him there, and we're just going to push him. We're going to start being super aggressive. We get the ram here. We only take off, you know, just under 200, but it's enough for our next shell to clear this guy. And that's exactly what we need to do. Now, I've just created carnage in this enemy team, and with my heavy armor profile that I have and the height that I'm on, and facing that pike nose directly at my enemy like you just saw there, I was able to get that bounce, and that's what you need to do with the Is-3's armor profile. Now things like this, I'm not going to drive straight up this hill after this guy. I'm going to drive away, I'm going to get that distance, I'm going to make sure that I've got the gun depression and just clip him like that. We also get the 1,000 points, we take the win, and that is basically how to play the Is-3 in those two matches. You combine all of that stuff together and you're gonna get wins. I get nice 2,400 damage with a class 1 there and 2 kills. I mean, there's not much more to it. If you want to know about the gun loadouts and all that sort of stuff, I mean, upgrade it, fully upgrade it. There's no point in running anything lower unless you really, really like aiming. And for that, we will end this video. Cheers, guys. Till next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. At 500 subs, I will be doing another cash giveaway for everyone that follows me and supports me on my channel. So, we're out of here. Thanks, guys.